Good day to you all. Welcome to Father's Conversation Podcast. This is a podcast where we discuss matters of life, where we try to help each other, be it a man, a woman, a girl, or parents. But Nasi, I want to speak specifically to men, especially to the boy child. We are living in a time, Yekuti, there are many voices that are speaking in the lives of our children. And you also need to know that it takes a man to raise another man. This goes to the saying, Yekuti, even mwana ari kuraiswa by a single parent, whether it's a single mom, that boy needs a man who can speak into his life. But as I'm going to address the men this afternoon or this evening, whatever time you are connected, I want you also to know that women, you need to take a lesson from this. Parents, you need to take a lesson from this. A man is a special species in the eyes of God. When we are talking about a man, you are talking about a generational bearer, because a man is the one who carries the seed. The seed inotagurwa nemurume ndo inoshandiswa for procreation. If you impact the life of a man, we have transformed the whole generation, because the whole generation is preserved in a seed. Just like a seed that we know, if we want to preserve a forest, we need to take care of the seeds. Ndosaka in our generation time yedu tinema kambani anouchika mbeu anogona kupreserva maseed. Unoona kuti imwe kana ichibage imwe yakukaliwa nered imwe green, it's not just a color but it's a preservation iri kuitwa iyoyo, because tikada kupreserva the next harvest, the next harvest iri museed. So the moment that we have preserved a seed, it means that we have preserved the next harvest. Now our young people need to know kuti, when you are a man, when you are a boy, when you are still a toddler, as long as you are a man, the whole tribe is invested in you. The whole clan is invested in you. The issues of substance abuse, the social ills that we are seeing in our community destroying young men, zviri kuda kunobata the whole generation. And if we are not very careful, these things, they are going to destroy the whole generation, because a man, it has set the tone of the family. Chinonzi procreation, it goes beyond kuita vana. It's raising a whole generation in a way that is cultured or that is aligned to the will and the purpose of God. Kana uri mubereki wakanditeerera une mwana mukomana, zauta hausi kuchengeta munhu wani, uri kuchengeta dzinza rese pane mwana yeye. You realize kuti in our day and in our time, tinenge tiri mufamily, in the family that I come from, we are 5 boys and 1 girl. Musikana hanzvadzi dzedu akatororwa, akatoenda kunokudza another family kwaakanororwa, akatoasuma family yeikoko, zita rekufamily yeikoko. Inini hamandishe ndiri kukudza rudzi rekuhamandishe, which means chinonzi advancement, chinonzi progression in a family chinotariswa kune varume vekuhamandishe kuti ndezvipi zvavari kuita kuti zita rerudzi rekuhamandishe rirambe richikura uye tione progress in the family. That's why it's very important to speak to the man, because the name of the family rests on his shoulders. I want you to know kuti mukomana katanga kutora madrugs, haasi munhu wani ari kutora madrugs, it is the whole generation, because madecisions aachanoita nelifestyle yaanonorarama nezvaanoproducer maresults atinozonoona, it is a whole generation that has been impacted or that has been destroyed by one man. Saka murume ndoda kuti uzvizive kana mukomana kuti time yauri kunogeza rudzi ruri kunogeza. Pauri kunorara, it is the whole generation that is going to sleep. Pauri kuenda kuchikoro, pauri kuenda kubasa, whatever decision, if you are taking drugs, it is the whole generation that is taking drugs. If you are going to school, if you are advancing yourself, it is the whole generation that is advancing. Now, a man needs a man. It takes a man to raise another man. Father's conversation, we are trying to reach out to men. If I'm able to impact one man, it means the decisions that we are going to do, even the woman that you are going to marry, zvese zviri kunoita a trickle down impact or effect iri kuno impacta vana vako. Most of the men right now, or most of the children, we are trying to undo the things that have been done by our parents because they have done my decisions asiri consistent ne progress. You need to know kuti inonzi a generational case kune vanhu vanonamata kana vachibelieve zvinhu zvekunamata. It's a cycle inoramba ichitenderera in a family. Now, mumwe munhu ari kuzvarwa in that negative cycle that has become a case because yakuramba ichitenderera. But if we are able to block or to cut that cycle, zvakuona kuti iwewe kana waimpactwa with this podcast, with this conversation, uri kugona now to make sure kuti wakuita rewrite the narrative of the family. The woman that you are going to marry, the decisions that you are going to do, the family that you are going to raise, zvinobatsira kuita redefine that narrative yanga iri mufamily. I want us to know kuti when we are talking about a man, we are not just talking about a man who can raise money. We are not just talking about a man anoenda kubasa, but a man is a teacher. A man is someone who is able to lead the family. That's why we are starting this conversation addressing a man. But challenge in our days now is murume ari kusvika pakugraduata from primary school, secondary school, high school, otonorora asina kutichwa the values of raising a family. And kuita vana akurambe, but do we have the values of raising the family? If I am going to change the narrative in our family, I have to be so intentional about the information that I will get. I have to be intentional about developing myself. Now, kana uri mukomana wakanditeerera panguva inoi, I want you to know that you still have time to work on your choices, to work on the decisions that you are going to do. Because you can only marry musikana o mukadzi ari palevel yako, ari palevel yezvaunofunga yekwauri kuenda nelife. Nekuti mukadzi kana achida haasi kungoya pane munhu ane mari. Bhaibheri rine mumwe murume ane example inorwadza ainzi Nabal. Nabal anga akarora mumwe mukadzi ainzi Abigail. Akasangana na David. David was not yet the king of Israel by then. Aitotiza from Saul. Abva akumbirwa assistance upiwa chikafu nodini akatanga kutukirira David. It took Abigail kuzouya kuzonegotiate na David kuti mambo wangu ndiregererei ndakarorwa nebenzi. I'm married to a fool. But Nabal, unonzwa David anodza Nabal anoti vakomana vako tavaona vane makwai hatina kumbavatorera zvinhu zvavo. The man had wealth, anga ane mari, yet he was a fool. We are living in a time yekuti people they compare richness and also substance. These are two different things. A lot of young people, a lot of men, they are running around kuda kutsvaga mari zvakanaka and to build wealth. But unozoera kuti wealth ikauya pane munhu asina substance, ikauya pane munhu asiri kuziva zvaari kuita, inokurumidza kumukuvadza. I've seen makorokoza akarova 2 kgs in the next 3 months vafa, vakapinda muaccident, vamwe vakatora vakadzi, vamwe vakatora zvinodhaka, vamwe vakaita zvinhu zvakawanda because akabata mari, but mari yakauya pane munhu asina substance. Abigail haana kuramba kuti murume wangu ane mari, but akati murume wangu ane mari, but he is still a fool. I want to appeal to men. Kuti, you set the tone of your life. You set the direction of the life. Mukadzi anounza structure mumba, murume anounza direction. Now the question is, one direction ipi yauri kuenda ne life yako, whether wakarora or you are not yet married. Which direction of life are you going? And which direction are you going to take your family to? These things, these are my values. This is how I'm going to navigate life. I've spoken to other young people in Chihuahua. You need a man who can speak into your life. And one other said story, the other man, Akati, Pastor, I don't have a father. But this podcast, it is going to bring fatherly conversation to you. Whether you know your parent, whether you know your father, whether you don't know your father. Some of the issues that are happening in our time is that some are present fathers, but they are absent as well. Very popamba, but they are not there to speak to their girls. They are not there to speak to their boys. Either they don't know, they don't have information. Sometimes they are too busy. But I've also seen parents, as a pastor, who come to me, Pastor, I've worked so hard, I've raised wealth for my children, but looking at my children, no one is going to inherit the wealth. Why? Because they are now into drugs, they are in a whole lot of things. So the business to the next level. Because why? People have not been taught. You must know that you are a product of the information that you receive. You are a product of the conversations that you engage. So when we engage in these conversations, we are trying to build another whole generation, beyond materialism, but a generation in which we want to raise people who have got values. The issues that we are crying about in our communities, in our societies, in the nations of the world in these times, these are value-based issues. Most of the issues in value. When we're talking about values, it goes beyond going to church. It goes beyond just reading books. It's about implementation, putting things into practice. Which values do you have? What values do you possess? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? Are you aware of the generations that you are carrying in your loins? Are you aware of the decisions that you are making? Are you aware of every step that you are taking? Could it will impact either negatively or positively to the next generation? So when we are talking about a man, I want you to know, don't look down upon yourself. This is the time that we need to redirect ourselves. We need to set ourselves on course. We have to be so intentional. I, as a man, I've got an obligation to preserve the next generation. Now, I spoke to young people. These conversations coming now on social media, trying to reach out to people, it's coming from a time of experience, more than 15 years experience, talking to young people. And I've realized that you are not different from the words that rings into your mind. You are not different from the words that rings into your soul. I've got other young people whom I spoke to, and I believe and thank God for the opportunity that He gave me to speak to their life. And up to now, they are now married. Some, they've got families, 1, 2, 3 children. And you can see they are making progress because of the engagements that we had. Every parent, you've got a responsibility to preserve the seed that you have, because the Bible says children are a gift from God. So we've been given a gift by God, but it is the responsibility of the father. The Jewish culture is very intentional. Man is the teacher of the family. So we are not just looking at a provider, at a protector, but we are looking at a teacher. Can you be a teacher to your children? When you are looking at a man, chinonzi, a teacher to the family, it goes beyond the nuclear family. It goes beyond the biological children that you have. Every child waonoona ari mustreet in your local area, kwese kwa ari, it is your responsibility to teach. I wanted to make it very clear to the audience today, Kuti, if we are not so intentional to raise a man, we are going to see the destruction of our society. Because it's very sad. Kuti, as men, our parents can no longer trust us with our sisters. Our women can no longer trust us with our daughters. Our sisters can no longer trust us with our nieces. Because it is the same men and a responsibility to protect that child in the no it as sexually abuse or physically abuse. It's very sad. We need to take responsibility as a man. Change comes by taking responsibility and accepting that we have done a disservice to this generation. Because whatever negative things that we are seeing, it's a result of the man who has not been trained or a man who has not been present in the life of the children or anyone wakasirwa. So as a man, I want to give you this responsibility as we are engaging in these conversations. You have got a responsibility to preserve. You've got a responsibility to teach. You've got a responsibility to protect the children in your community. Can you be a father to many children? That's why Marakapa that responsibility to Abraham Akati, you are a father of nations. So when you are talking about fatherhood, it's something that can be trained. You don't just become a father. You need to be raised to become one. So as we engage, I want even women my daughters, to connect and also to learn kuti kana ndiri kutsvaga murume baba vevana vangu ndiri kutsvaga murume akaita sei. Not just a man who wear trousers, not just a man who can build a house, but ndoda kutsvaga murume anondirezera vana vangu. So this conversation, it is open to the daughters, it is open to the sons. So as I'm rounding up this time, I want us to know that we are on a journey of transforming our society and our community. And who else can do it? Do you know what? As I speak to parents, we need to be so intentional about raising a new breed of children so that our society can be preserved. It is our responsibility to do so. So thank you so much for joining. I can't wait to see you. See you next time.